Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. As you can see, this morning I'm down here at Circular Quay, and Sydney town is trying its hardest to attract people, to attract visitors, to attract tourists down to the CBD, to revitalise and reinvigorate the central business district following a couple of years of COVID-19. So this area here, this public space here, looks very, very interesting indeed. I'm not sure, but I think they may have some musical or something happening in here as well. But it is very colourful and very pretty indeed. And I'd love to get down here after work and have a beverage or two. Anyway, let's go on a walk and talk. I start work a little bit later today. It's Saturday. It's an overcast day, and it's quite mild. Can't complain about the temperature, but it looks like it may have a spot of rain throughout the day today. So because I need to hop on the train and continue my journey, I'll just stop off here and do my 5 a.m. club. I'll pop down my bag and my umbrella and chat away and go through another book summary in the tradition of Jim's 5 a.m. club, where we try and learn something new every day. And today's book summary is an absolute cracker. It's a great book summary, especially for young people who are at school, who want to, learn things and make it stick. Because one of the hardest things for people is to read, to study, and to be able to remember it. So this book here is entitled Make It Stick by Peter C. Brown. And it's a book which basically goes through the learning sciences. Things have progressed a long way over the past couple of thousand years, and science today is able to, inform us in much better ways in terms of how we can best learn, how we can best retain it, and how we can best express it, is the best way of putting it. So the author kicks off the book with an observation, with a quote, where he says that sometimes trying to solve a problem before being taught the solution leads to a better learning outcome, even when errors are made in the attempt. So what the author is saying here is that sometimes it's better just to have a crack at trying to sort something out, because as Marie Forleo says, everything is figure-outable. You've got to have that mindset that you can do it, that you can figure it out, and sooner or later, if you have a crack, you will learn something in that attempt that may not solve that immediate problem, but it will activate your brain to make you, or put you in a better position to be able to solve other problems. The author then calls us to action and says that basically we need to try and learn something and practice learning every single day. Because in our lives, especially today, more so than other times in the past, change is constant, and we need to continue to change. We need to continue to morph. We need to continue to adapt and grow and develop in order to survive. And for that reason, and that reason only, it's important to understand that we need to embrace a learning mindset, an expanding mindset, and that learning in its essence is all about absorbing new information and making sense of it. So this book is all about helping us on that path. And I've said time and time again on other 5 a.m. clubs that the art of learning is simply attaching the unknown to the known. And the more that you know, the more you're capable of knowing. The more that you learn, the more you're capable of learning. So this book, once again, just reinforces the sort of things that we've been talking about time and time again, and puts it all back into perspective and puts it top of mind. It makes it an important, a critical element in our daily schedule. So the first point that the author makes is that, especially for us baby boomers and people who grew up in the 60s, and other people along the way who have been influenced by their parents, their grandparents in terms of learning, the author says that the first thing we need to do is to absolutely ditch the traditional learning, studying practices. Where you just repeat something over and over again, because he says that what happens with that is it leads us to mindless repetition, and mindless repetition will not empower you to learn at your optimal rate. So we need to ditch the traditional study practices and adopt the right habits for successful learning. Because what happens is when you mindlessly repeat something, when you go through rote learning, as we call it, now repeating something over and over again will make you familiar with the subject and give you a false sense of mastery. But it will fail you in the long term. So what the author is saying is that what we need to do is to change our emphasis and try other things instead, like spaced repetition, testing ourselves, applying the knowledge, elaborating and trying to remember what we just did and understand what the key points were, and try to attach what we've learned to other memories, to other things that we've learned. So an interesting journey this book is taking us on, and something that is important and useful for people of all ages. As we said, life is changing and changing rapidly. So we too need to at least change in some areas. I'm not talking about changing in every area. There are some things that never change and need to be held constant, like our religion, our Christian beliefs, because the truth is the truth. But what we're saying is that there are other areas and other things that are constantly changing, and we need to be continuing to loop through and make the necessary changes and adapt and adopt these changes into our lives in order to stay relevant and to stay in sync with where the world is and where it's heading. Of course, living our values and our actions being congruently tied to those values, but we still need to be effective learners. So the second key point which comes from this book is where the author talks about spaced retrieval. We need to practice retrieval to gain full mastery of a subject. So instead of just doing mindless repetition over and over and over again, where it becomes boring and you become familiar with it and it is no longer effective, the author talks about having a break and then doing again after you've had a break, because that seems to have a better impact on what you've learnt. And to try linking something that you're learning, something which you're unfamiliar with, to something that you already know. I remember many years ago when I was a young executive and I was working at NCR, so I would have been about 22, 23 years of age, and there was a new operating system, a new computer platform being generated on the Unix language, and it was called SQL, Sequence Query Language. And we had a trainer come in and train us how to use the system, and he was a brilliant trainer. So before each class, he would basically say to us, what do you know about this subject? To get people to start thinking, to activate our brains. So we'd all start whiteboarding and brainstorming what we already knew about a particular subject. And then we'd go through and he'd teach us and he'd give us examples. But throughout the class, he'd be probing us and teasing us and testing us. And then at the end of the day, what he would do, before we would leave, he would say, let's have a 3-minute quiz. What did we learn today? And then people would put things up on the board, and then other people were able to attach things because that was the points that somebody else would put up would trigger another recall. So we just practice recalling over and over again, and we'd basically be able to recap and rediscover what was done throughout the day. So we maintained and we kept the key points. And then the next day, when we go to the next session, before he would start the next session, he would ask everybody, let's recall what we did yesterday. Who can recall what we did yesterday? And then we'd start the whiteboarding, the brainstorming again. And once again, it was just amazing that a group of people who were unfamiliar with a particular topic were able to recall most or all of the key points and help each other in that growth and development and learning process. So trying to link something that to what you already know, and then trying to remember what you've just learnt is key, and to rehash and recover the key points. Because I remember when I was at school, one of my maths teachers or one of my science teachers, I forget who he was or what subject it was, said that at the end of the day, each subject that you do at school has a key half dozen points. Your curriculum is based on teaching you a core half dozen points. If you understand and know and can recall those half dozen points, then you're not going to fail any test, because the curriculum is the curriculum. The core learning is the core learning. If you understand what those half dozen points are and can talk about them, then you're never ever going to have a problem with a school test. A very valuable point, and once again on point with what we're talking about here. And if you're able to recall and retrieve those half dozen points, what you're doing is you're activating your brain and you're getting in the mindset, in the learning mindset. So the last point that the author makes, and I'll start heading back to the train station, is that we need to learn how to elaborate on a topic and being able to explain it in simple words, because by explaining it and simplifying it means that you understand it better. Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, once said that if you can't explain something in minute detail, that even a 5-year-old child or a 4-year-old child can understand it, then you clearly don't understand the topic well enough. So being able to break down a topic and to explain it to your grandchild, to your grandchildren, is a way of, I guess, improving your knowledge and your learning capability. So one of the brilliant aspects of Jim's 5am Club is that I'm taking book summaries and explaining it in simple language that hopefully a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old child will be able to understand. And living, learning and passing it on is key to the learning journey. Being able to learn something every day. I do a book summary every day, so I'm learning something every day. I'm passing it on every day, so I'm trying to teach it in layman's language, in my own language, which further reinforces it in my mind. So it's something that is working for me, and I guess it's something that would be able to work for you, for your children and future generations. I'm sure that in years to come, the learning syllabus, the learning process at school, at university, will be more to do with vlogging, to be able to take a subject and to present it in your own language, in your own terms, is going to be a critical learning step that everybody can benefit from. So I'm a pioneer in this sort of methodology, and I've developed over 1,300 now vlogs on books, book summaries and experiences. And we have the technology. All you need is a selfie stick, an iPhone 12 or 13, which has Dolby sound and Dolby video, and you can go wherever you want and video and express your thoughts and then upload them to YouTube, and they're there for perpetuity. So simplifying things makes it easier to understand. To be able to simplify something means that you've mastered it. If you can teach it and you can help a young child understand exactly what you're thinking, then that's mastery. And the author also says trying to explain it in different ways also helps. Using different examples. Teachers in their quest to teach students are masters of their subject because they're using different examples all the time, using different metaphors, different analogies. They're associating the old with the new. As we said, learning is the art of attaching the old or the unknown to the new. So in summary, what we've learnt from this book is that if you want to be a better learner, if you want to make it stick, if you want to be a leader in your field and to help you get through dementia and all of those other mental challenges that all of us may face in our lives, we need to hone our minds, we need to hone our mindset. We need to continually learn something every day. And to do that, we need to use spaced repetition. We need to use elaboration, recalling it, thinking about it, mulling over it. And we need to associate it to other memories that we have. We need to connect our new memories to our old memories, because what happens with dementia is that the part of the brain that captures the new memories is the one that deteriorates and shuts down first. So we need to keep it active. What you use, you'll be able to keep. So we need to treat it like a muscle and keep on flexing it, keep on using it, keep on working it out. So I encourage everybody to stay on the journey of learning, because life is constantly changing and we're all invited to continue to learn, to continue to expand, to live, learn and pass it on. each person has knowledge, each person has wisdom that is unique to that person's culture, to that person's family environment, to their work environment, to their careers. And as we said, life is changing and changing dramatically, but there is a beauty in passing on and keeping all of the wonderful things that we've come across, because it may be useful to others to help them put things into better perspective. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. I'll head back to the station, but I encourage everybody to come down to the CBD and check things out. As we got here, we've got Club Cabaret from the 15th of February to the 12th of March, where you can get tickets, and it would be interesting to come down here, sit out here, have a drink or two, and go inside and watch a show. Yassas everybody, take care, and I look forward to chatting to you again from a different place with a different message of empowerment, where we can try and cobble together new knowledge, new observations that we can use in our everyday life. But wishing everybody a happy Saturday, a great weekend, and all the very best. Yassas, bye for now.